I want to take a quick minute to talk about mental health. As you all know, we are living in unprecedented times, whether it's the racial pandemic or the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, I want to introduce you to Hope Again Counseling Services, where transformation begins. Hope Again provides help for children, adolescents, adults, family, and couples. So give them a call at 410-698-8442 or visit them on the web at yourhopeagain.com to book your appointment. If you are willing to believe, you will begin to achieve, and ultimately, Hope Again Counseling Services can help you receive all that is meant for you.
He's phony, she's fake. That's the type of people I hate.
Who's phony? Who's fake? That's definitely the type of people I hate. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of Breaking Through the Glass Ceilings with Uncomfortable Conversations. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. Now, on today's show, let's have a conversation about, or an uncomfortable conversation about, white privilege. If you are a sports fan or not, but you've been paying attention to the news, you've heard the story that an article came out in the New York Times Sunday morning, which revealed something we heard vaguely about last year around this time during the NBA bubble, and that was that Rachel Nichols came off as a phony ally. And you may say, well, how? So last year around the time, I remember the story that Rachel Nichols was, not very happy and felt like the Black Lives Matter movement was getting in her way. This is the way I remember hearing it. So maybe y'all remember hearing it differently. And she wasn't happy about it. However, there's always a full story and there's clarification. So what really happened, what we really saw was this past Sunday in an article, it was revealed that she was not pleased with Maria Taylor being named the host for the NBA Finals. Let's go to that clip.
Like, why didn't you do Doris's silent reporter job for the NBA Finals? Because guess what that would clear the way for?
For her to do it full time.
For Maria to do the hosting full time.
Yeah.
So, I have declined. I don't know what their next move is, but they are feeling pressure because of all of that. And I'm trying to figure out, how to just, my thing is, I wish Maria Taylor all the success in the world. She covers football, she covers basketball. If you need to give her more things to do because you're feeling pressure about your, crappy, long-time record on diversity, which, by the way, I myself, know personally from the female side of it, go for it. Just, find it somewhere else. You're not going to find it with me.
Now, what I want people to understand is there's volumes to this. You have Rachel Nichols, a white woman, Maria Taylor, a black woman. Both women have had hell they had to go through to get to where they at, right? Let's not act like that isn't the case. For women in sports, there's always the he say, she say, right? That when a woman gets to a certain position, there's always a rumor floating around that, maybe she slept with somebody to get there. It's unfortunate, or she's only there because she's cute. Now, here's where I want to take things a step further. With her in this situation, because I was asked by a white person, I'm not going to reveal names, but I was asked by a white person, why are black people mad at Rachel Nichols? I've even heard black people say they're not mad at Rachel Nichols for being upset for something that she's worked hard for being taken away. Here's where she messed up at. Everything was all fine. Everything was all fine until she made the point and the assumption and that she created this assumption that the only reason Maria Taylor was put in that place was because ESPN was trying to cover up the whole diversity and fix things that they've messed up for years. That's where people got upset. Because no matter which way you say, no matter which way you try to put it, you're implying that Maria Taylor isn't good at her job, and the only reason why she's there in that position is because she's black. Now, I find it ironic because for years, black people were put in positions or prevented from being in certain positions because of they were black. Now, again, this is the issue. When you're talking about white privilege, sure, everybody works hard, but there's also some sort of luck that goes into it, right? You have you're lucky that somebody's a manager. I call it blessed, but you're lucky that somebody's a manager, or you're blessed to be in this position. And I am a former employee of ESPN. Don't plan to go back. But guess what? In this day and age, if saying something you don't like what people say and then you won't hire them, then that's on you. That's your loss, because everybody deserves criticism. But like I said, there is some things that sometimes luck has a play. And I watched Taylor Rooks on the All the Smoke podcast, and as she was saying, we got to admit that. Now, sure, Rachel Nichols, she worked her butt off, but for her to imply, and she gave credit, she said Maria Taylor is good at her job. She covers basketball and football. But she said, why does she have to be put in that position considering? Again, if she would have said, well, I think it's unfair. I worked hard as well. Why are they kicking me out? Fine. And granted that this happened, and this whole conversation, she left the camera on. It went to a server. This is what people got to understand. It's not so much that the people were spying on her. Now, should a rightful person turn off the camera? Or if you see something that you shouldn't have got, absolutely. There was one time somebody sent me a Dropbox, and it had a Dropbox link, and it had all their pictures. Nothing provocative at all. But out of privacy, I said, oh, you sent the wrong image. I didn't go through them. But in this case, she left the camera on. At ESPN, everything works off a server. When you need to get old footage, you have to go to a tape ingesting place. You put it on the server. Once it's on the server, everybody has access to it. So all the videos that come from all over the country that's sent and recorded to ESPN came on the server. This, she left the camera on. Should somebody have recorded it and shared it? That's not for me to decide. Because I do think sometimes things need to be exposed like this. I'm going to be honest with you. But where she messed up was again, implying that Maria was only put in the position. Because what I heard was, well, I'm really good. I earned this spot. Maria's okay. She's good at what she do, but she's not better than me. Therefore, she shouldn't get this because ESPN is trying to correct their mess up. That's what I heard. Interpreted. Now, let me tell you something else. This is another reason why black people are not happy, and we call it fake allyship. Because when you listen to the audio, and you hear Adam Medelson comment about being tired of the Black Lives Matter movement and being tired of the Me Too movement, that is a problem. How do you think we feel, black people? How do you think black people feel for years? For years. I'm 35, and I haven't, always had fair treatments. How do you think we feel? And God knows I can never, ever imagine how women who just want to work, who just want to do their job, are constantly harassed, constantly have a guard up. So for someone to say that they are tired of this movement because women are finally speaking up for themselves and feel courageous to do so, for someone to say that they're tired of that, absolutely disrespectful. And then on top of that, for Rachel Nichols to laugh about it, that is a problem. I want to take y'all to a clip. Shout out to Jalen Rose's daughter, Mariah, who went in. Here's that clip.
Now, because let's quickly talk about Miss Rachel Nichols. Maria Taylor knows what a generational talent she is in the broadcasting world, so I don't even got to go there and hype her up. Let's talk about the fact that she actually played basketball. And if you want to go there, let's go there. Let's talk about how you're related to Diane Sawyer, arguably the queen of ABC. Nah. You got your job as one of the faces of ESPN because you're so entertaining and talented and so good at it, right? You are a woman in the sports world, and you sat there and you laughed about the Me Too movement, about your fellow women complaining about being sexually assaulted at work. You think that's funny? What really got me is you're tired of the Black Lives Matter movement because you weren't tired about posting about it or making your stupid little storybook monologues about it. Maybe instead of crying and calling Maria a diversity token, you can direct that energy to the people who think there can only be one woman on that stage. And if we're being real, Rachel Nichols is a subpar reporter. Subpar. Boring. Not great. I'm sorry your white privilege didn't work this time. Maybe next time.
You know, and I sit back and you think about white privilege. And there's so many levels to this. A lot of times, it's the same cycle. A white person says something, they apologize, shed a couple of tears, they put a couple of black people beside them to say it's okay, and then we move forward. And when does this stop? You know, Steven Jackson went on Instagram. I would say Matt Barnes, but I didn't watch his video, so I can't comment on that. But Steven Jackson went on Instagram, and he talked about ESPN putting the two women together. That was the issue. And he defended Rachel Nichols. And I get it. That's your friend. I do. But in this case, she's wrong. And it doesn't make me look at Steven Jackson differently or anybody else. You know, people are calling them out. Kendrick Perkins, Richard Jefferson. These are their coworkers. This is their friend, right? So I understand that. I'm a Hulk Hogan fan. Hulk Hogan said some hurtful things, but he was wrong. And I'll call him out on it. He was wrong, and he wonders why people don't like him. Rachel Nichols, I'm not going to say she's a bad person. One, I don't know her. I didn't work with her when I was at ESPN. But, again, she implied that Maria Taylor was getting the job because she was black, not because she earned it. And that is the problem. I'm going to share a story. And I'm not going to name any names because I haven't had permission to do so. But I will say that this happened in my current position. For those who know, if you know, you know. I was told that I would be leading the social media strategy. And I was told that there wouldn't be any pushback, maybe from one person. Well, when the one person was upset, I heard about it. Now, I heard about the person that was upset. But, now, of course, I don't know the whole story. Let's put it there. But I'm putting this on wax. If it gets back to me, is whatever, heat, whatever. But what I heard was that they were upset because they worked hard and they thought this was their opportunity to prove that they could be in leadership. There was never anything said, to my knowledge, that this person was upset that I was told that I would be leading, and they only felt that I was leading because I was black. They knew that I had more social media experience while they had more experience at the job and the institution. We went on and still remain good friends to this day. That is the difference, folks. Never was it stated, oh, I'm upset because Brian's getting to do this. He's only getting to do this because he's the only black male on our team. That was never what I've heard. And I have to say, just side note, the person remains supportive and helpful in any way, shape, or form. But you understand that is the difference. If Rachel Nichols would have just been upset, I don't understand why ESPN is pushing me out of the way. I worked so hard for this, and this is my opportunity. This makes no sense. Fine. The moment she dropped Maria Taylor's name, that's when all hell broke loose. That is why Black America is upset. That is why it seems as if the reason Maria Taylor has not answered any phone calls or responded to any text messages. Now, here's a problem, and this is where ESPN always does. Like I said, now I have an episode coming up that I'm going to release everything. Y'all want to know, I'm always asked, why did you leave? Why did you leave? I'm going to talk about my full career, and it's going to be probably moderated by my good friend Ashley Baker. But this is what it happens. The one black woman, her name is in the article. I'm not going to mention her name. Y'all can go do the article. Y'all probably know it, who know who I'm talking about. But we, started around the same time. The one black woman who admitted to HR that she sent the footage to Maria Taylor was punished without pay, suspended without pay, and then given less than desirable jobs. I don't understand why that's the case, folks. That makes no sense to me. How you going to punish this black woman for doing that? Like, are you really serious? This makes no sense. That's what I have a problem with. And, ESPN does have a long history of bad publicity. They are the worldwide leader in sports. We know that. But it's a very toxic environment. It is. Alexandria Gibilisco was on an episode of Breaking Through the Glass Ceilings. You can go back and listen. She explains why she left. Matter of fact, we're going to insert that in right here. Why'd you leave?
Okay. I left because I respect myself more than what I was being respected there. Mm-hmm. That's legit. When I came to ESPN, I was right out of college. I was single. Didn't know A to B, up from down, whatever. I was still figuring myself out. The time I left ESPN, I was a wife. I was a mom of 2. I was a homeowner. I had built a house. I had just built a house when we left.
And that was the second one.
And that was my second one. I knew I deserved more, but I didn't know what. And I knew as a black woman working there, I would never get it. 100%, it's that simple. I had been there I left, I think like October 6th, October 5th, which was 2 months shy of my 8-year mark. And I didn't care. All I knew was that I had a new baby at home, that I put through so much. I stressed out Pierce so much at my last year at ESPN with my pregnancy. I got into it a lot with someone who was a known racist at the company. I remember being in HR quite often, especially because my mouth got me in trouble because I couldn't do anything. I was huge pregnant with my son. But my mouth still worked, and I'm a fighter, so what's up? I remember telling this guy, I will chop you down like a tree, because he was very tall and very, and I'm 5'4". And I remember sitting in the HR office and them talking to me about it and how I can't say these things and everything. And this was after this guy called me an idiot because I said I needed to eat because I was hungry and I was very pregnant. I knew then that was it.
A black woman who was not valued by the company. She said she complained about things, but it didn't carry no substance until a white woman complained. Like I said, I have quite a few friends who still work there, but I have a lot of friends who left. A lot of black friends who left because people are tired. And y'all see the finished product. Goodness knows, Stephen A. Smith is always going on there talking up. He's supposed to be the voice. And he says he hears the stuff, Stephen A. Smith's Uncle Tom, the whole nine. He's the face of the company, no doubt about it. You know, a spot once held by Stuart Scott. But let's not act like, look how long it took them before Stuart Scott became the face of the company. What, ESPN started in 1979. People like Bob Lee and Chris Berman, they were known as the 79ers because they were there from the beginning. But it wasn't until the late 90s where it was like, okay, Stuart Scott, I maybe wasn't even the face, but he's definitely one of the top people. Mike Hill got on Black News Channel and said he was told that he was too ghetto. They said we already have one of those. White executives. This is what black people deal with. This is what people don't understand. And like I said, fake allyship. Michael Rappaport gets on Twitter and talks more about they should name the person who sent the video. And that's the thing, jumping off at the Twitter fingers, not knowing what you're talking about, because like I said, it went to a server. It's just so happened, and people were sharing it. Look, this is what happens. I remember there was a time when I was watching. Now, I'm not a UFC fan at all, but there was a time, y'all remember John Bones Jones getting ready for Daniel Cormier. And I'm sitting there watching a clip at home. I'm watching the stuff that was posted on Instagram. One of my friends who worked there saw me talk about it. It was either Facebook or Instagram. He said, when you go to work, go on the server and find the whole thing. You'll thank me later. That was the raw, unedited, unaired footage because the cameras were still rolling. And as the cameras were still rolling, you heard John Bones Jones and Daniel Cormier say how they really felt, uncensored. That's how servers work. So that is why when this happened, I was like, oh, it went to the server. So anybody could have got it. What should have happened was HR should have seen it and corrected her. That's what should have happened. But guess what? It wouldn't have happened because they would have swept it under the rug. That right there is a problem. So there's people saying stuff, but it's unfortunate because, once again, a black woman's credentials have been questioned because that's what it was. Rachel Nichols was questioning Maria Taylor's credentials because the way I understood, she is saying that she's only being put in that position because she's black, not because she's good. Now, another thing you could address is, for ESPN, why can't you have more than one woman on NBA Countdown? Why can't you? And that's where I understand that Steven Jackson was getting at. Like, y'all making this between them two when ESPN is really the problem. That is true. But we cannot and we will not ignore the fact that Rachel Nichols comes off as fake allyship. Because somebody genuine, that wouldn't have came up. Sure, you mad that you're losing your spot. Well, they gave her the privilege of making her believe that was her spot. They put in her contract, okay, well, you hammer it out with them, but you shouldn't mention. It's kind of like when you go to your parents and you say, but so-and-so did such and such. No, but what did you do? No, what are you going to do? So she shouldn't even mention Maria Taylor's name. That is the problem, folks. So that's the problem. It just makes no sense. It's very unfortunate that this happened. But, with black people, we have to always wonder, how can we know if somebody's a true ally? Because it's always easy to say Black Lives Matter. It's easy to paint pictures. It's easy to post black squares. But when you see a black person getting an opportunity over you, are you okay with that? Nobody, because most of the time when, you lose your job to a white person or another white person gets an opportunity, you might be upset, but it's like, whatever. But when a black person gets that opportunity, Are you questioning the motive? That's what's fake allyship. You know, again, it's easy to say and do until it's time to hurt your pockets. It's easy to speak up until somebody tells you, be quiet or you're going to be fined. It's easy to do that because then that's it hurting your pockets. So I don't believe all white people are fake allies. I believe there are some genuine, true people who are real. Like I said, I know a lot of people have racism issues at ESPN. That's not my story. I wouldn't even say that. I'll say that they mishandled a lot of things in the system. I'll even say that even in highlights, me being a black man, I may have been kind of cast to the side, sure. But when I was in social media, I was the only black person on the Sports Center team, and I was treated fairly. Wasn't given special privileges, but I was treated fairly, and I was offered equal opportunity. I have to say that. I will say that. Shout out to Steve Brabant and Scott Turkin, who Dan Duquette and Tim Dwyer. Those were the leaders of those positions, and they treated me very well. They didn't give me nothing. They didn't take nothing away. I always appreciated them for that, and still talk to them here and there. Those are the things that I could say, But, unfortunately, a lot of my friends did not have the same experience. Quite a few of them. John Gervais was on this podcast. He talked about his experience. John is one of the biggest sneakerheads I know. But they didn't want to give him a lot of opportunities. There's a couple other people, and they'll be on the show, so I'm not going to speak on it until they're on the show. But they'll come share their stories. I got a shoot interview waiting to happen coming up in a couple of weeks. I can't wait. Matter of fact, we're recording it tomorrow. So that's my thing, folks. But this whole Rachel Nichols thing, for white people listening, that is why we're upset. It's the same thing like with Sha'Carri Richardson. I see people saying all this stuff about her. You would never understand what she went through. It's easy to tell somebody, put the weed down, stay off the weed. But do you really understand why they're smoking? In this case, she was told by a stranger that her mother died. That is a problem. Some people have a different way of coping with things. Do people need accountability partners? Absolutely. But everybody doesn't have that. So it's easy to sit back and condemn somebody, but if you don't really understand, how can you, if you never walked a mile or even a half a mile in their shoes, how can you understand? It's like, shout out to my boy Sir Wilkins of the Jobber Tears podcast. He talked about the IWC, for those who do not know, that is the internet wrestling community being racist. And they're always hating on the black women. That's a problem. And then with that being said, a lot of people was thinking he was wrong. But no, he's not wrong. So, you look at pro wrestling, that's a whole different show, the racism in pro wrestling. But, yes, people have seen George Floyd get killed, murdered on television. That comes down to right and wrong. That's why I think a lot of people were moved. But when it comes to people like Alton Sterling, where the police was trigger happy, a Philando Castile, where the police was trigger happy, that's the stuff people don't understand. When black people get pulled over by the police, we don't worry about whether or not we're going to make it home. Whether or not we're going to leave with a ticket or not. We worry about if we're going to make it home to our loved ones because we never know the agenda. We never know. And that's the thing, folks. So I want y'all to understand that, again, Rachel Nichols came off fake. The apology came off fake. I don't even understand why Steven Jackson and, RJ, Richard Jefferson and Kendrick Perkins was on there. Because it's a PR stunt. And now black people are seeing right through it. We're more vocal about what we see. We got a voice. We got Twitter. So we see it. Yes, those guys were put in a bad position. Because at the end of the day, I get it. She's your friend. They know her better than we do. But what we saw was Rachel Nichols revealing how she really feels about Black Lives Matter. And that'll do it, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure y'all subscribe to Breaking Through Glass Ceilings. Share this with your friends. Have these uncomfortable conversations, these open conversations. And guess what? If you want to come on and talk about this, I'm more than happy to do so. Until the next time, I'm Brian H. Waters, folks. So long, everybody. Before we get out of here, here's a word from one of our sponsors. Are you planning a huge celebration and perhaps you need some balloons to make your event look nice? Well, I have the perfect place for you, and that's Symphony of Balloons. Symphony of Balloons will do all events including baby showers, weddings, birthday parties, or that special anniversary. Contact them today at 410-802-1531 or email them at symphonyofballoons@gmail.com and tell them Brian H. Waters sent you.